Day 23 dawned calm and clear, a welcome change after the bit of rain sporadically through the previous night. A gentle breeze stirred the palm fronds above as the final 7 slowly awoke to the sound of distant waves and the low crackle of the fire. But beneath the calm of the tropical morning, the game was anything but peaceful. Velma was the first up, as usual. She sat quietly near the fire pit, sipping water from a bamboo cup, her glasses slightly fogged from the morning humidity. Though she'd played her idol on Lois previously and cemented their loyalty, something was off. Lois and Shego going on the reward together yesterday was making her paranoid, especially considering hers and Shego's history. But now with her idol gone and him causing chaos, her safety relied on precision strategy and tight social bonds. She spoke to herself softly, only 6 more players to go. Velma, I can do this. Me and Lois to the end. Don't get paranoid now. Jerry wandered out next, looking more relaxed than ever. Despite his positioning on the bottom, he was confident his exposure of him's vote flip would insulate him, or at minimum provide entertainment. Velma and Jerry took a moment in the quiet morning to commemorate Tommy, a close ally to each of them. Even though Velma and Jerry were working opposite sides, their respect for each other remained strong. Jerry took that moment of calm, and then gathered himself to prepare to re-enter game mode. With the game thinning and his once tight grip on strategy weakening, he was desperate for a foothold. He cornered Cosmo just before breakfast, whispering through gritted teeth, "They're hiding something. Everyone's too relaxed. Why is no one up yet?" He was excited to see the fireworks. Cosmo nodded, wide-eyed and munching on a mango. "I think we're all hiding something." As unpredictable as Cosmo was, sometimes he stumbled into the truth. King Boo was next to wake, and hovered at the edges of camp. His face unreadable, his behavior calm and collected, but Velma, and Jerry especially, sensed something was off. Boo had played an idol last tribal, but his confidence hadn't faltered. Unbeknownst to the rest of the tribe, he still had a second idol tucked away, and he was quietly watching for the perfect time to use it. A sudden shouting match broke out mid-morning between him and Shego. It had been building since last night, and now that both were awake, the time for confrontation had arrived. Shego started off, immediately aggressive. "So much for sisters, him. A hint of paranoia, and you flip? I've had your back from day one, and for the record, I would have never voted for you. But now you can bet I will. I'll vote for you every round until you and your clunky claws are off my island." Him snapped back, "Oh, so now you're just going to believe everything Jerry says? I wasn't even the third vote for King Boo, and if I was, it would certainly be justified. It was probably Cosmo who voted for King Boo." Cosmo interjected, confused. No, wasn't me. King Boo is my floaty friend. I wrote down Tommy." Him blushed more than usual. He was caught. Shego fired back into him. "You've constantly caused drama. You flaunt a secret alliance. You named it without asking anyone. You flip between nice guy and diva every day, and you're one of the least decisive people out here. I don't wait around for people to make up their minds. I make moves. And you were supposed to be in on the moves with me, but by all means, fly solo." Him retorted quickly and snarkily, "You want to be the only one to make moves, but get mad when others try to spice things up. You're bland, Shego. Have some fun. It's not like I targeted you." Voices escalated until the rest of the camp couldn't ignore them. Velma raised an eyebrow as she sat beside Lois, who whispered, "This could work in our favor." Him sat, smirking. His face didn't move. His reaction was totally unreadable. The rest of the tribe did their best to pretend to be unaffected, but it was clear everyone was listening in. Shego started to walk out of camp, but stopped and turned around, continuing her tirade. "Actually, you know what? I'm not finished. You were the one who him cut her off and started talking sweetly, but clearly sarcastically. Shego, sweetie, we get it, you're mad. Anything else? Or are you just going to keep recycling your talking points? If this is how you're going to treat your most loyal ally, then the sister squad can continue without you. I'm going to go stretch by the water, but you kids have fun. Smooches, sisters." He got up and left the camp humming an upbeat tune. Later, Shego vented to Velma and Lois while him sulked by the shore, occasionally shooting glances their way. The fracture was clear. What had once been a semi-functional alliance was crumbling fast. King Boo watched from the shelter, observing the social hierarchy at work. It was clear him was on the bottom of the sister squad, if he was even in it at all now. But Boo still had work to do to boost his positioning. Meanwhile, Cosmo was caught sneaking coconut again. "But I was so hungry," he pleaded when confronted. "It's not even stealing, it's pre-eating." Boo rolled his eyes. Jerry, still excited from watching the blow-up, snapped, "It's selfish." The scolding turned into a brief group argument about food sharing, with him loudly backing Jerry, and Velma once again staying mostly silent. letting others fray their own social threads. While tempers flared, Jerry disappeared into the jungle with a machete and an excuse about gathering firewood. In truth, he was hunting for an idol, hoping to claw back control of the game. As he dug, Velma walked into the trees to join him. Velma, ever observant, noticed his panic. On one hand, she felt bad a friend was in such a bad position, but on the other hand, he did it to himself. "Hey Jerry," Jerry snapped up from the ground quickly. "Oh hey Velma, I was just, looking for some twigs for the fire." Velma giggled. "It's okay, Jerry, I'm just here to get away from the mess at camp. Do what you need to do." The two talked about twigs, life, idols, the game, and everything in between. At the end of the conversation Jerry pitched them reuniting as a duo. Velma hesitantly accepted, saying she would try to keep him around as long as possible. Jerry accepted that deal, for now. Later that afternoon, Velma, Lois, and Shego regrouped by the water's edge. "If him has an idol, we need to flush it," Shego said. Velma nodded slowly. "Let's make him feel somewhat comfortable," she replied. "Get him to relax. Then strike," Shego replied. "You two will have to carry that." "I'm not talking to him," Lois rolled her eyes. "I'm not thrilled about it either. You both know I can't hold my tongue, and him acting like you're the one in the wrong really grinds my gears. Velma, can you and maybe Boo keep him from causing another scene?" Velma grimaced. "I'll try. Obviously he's got to go next." "Agreed." Lois and Shego agreed in unison. Elsewhere, Cosmo began stacking small stones in a spiral near the shelter. "It's a rock garden," he explained to no one in particular. "For vibes," Lois gave a tired smile. "Honestly, we could use better vibes." "You bring the best vibes, Cosmo." "Thanks for that." On the beach, him sat alone, facing away from the tribe. A single tear fell down his cheek, and he sniffled. He talked quietly to himself. "I can't believe Jerry would do that to me. Exposing me like that. And Shego, what an explosion. If I wasn't the target I would have loved it. Now look at me, all alone." He fiddled with some seashells, and dried his eyes. "Okay Diva, it's time to show everyone what I'm really capable of. Goodbye Sister Slay, and welcome to the game Sister Sinister. These hoes are going down." By sunset, the dynamics were messy. Jerry was growing paranoid, watching every interaction to see if Velma had made any progress in protecting him. Cosmo was unpredictable but strangely perceptive. Boo remained a looming threat, dangerous and unreadable. Him was unapologetic and ready for revenge. Shego was furious, and trying to bite her tongue. Velma and Lois quietly held the tribe together by a thread, trying to console everyone at once. The final 7 were tense, the lines unclear, and the next tribal promised fireworks. And in the center of it all, a small rock garden quietly took shape, serene, strange, and symbolic of the chaos surrounding it. The final 7 approached the challenge arena on day 24, the sun blazing overhead. A row of wooden platforms stood waiting, each rigged with a bucket of water dangling ominously above. "Come on in, guys," Jeff called. The castaways took their places, tension thick in the air. "This challenge is called the bucket list," Jeff explained, gesturing to the rigging. "You'll each stand on a narrow perch with one hand raised, holding onto a rope connected to a bucket of water. If your hand drops below eye level, splash, you're out. Last one left dry wins individual immunity," he added, "and tonight, someone will become the 5th member of the jury. Big stakes. Let's get started." The players climbed onto their platforms, took hold of their ropes, and steadied themselves. "Survivors ready? Go." Within 10 seconds, Cosmo began to fidget. "This rope is literally attacking me. It reminds me of that time I got a giant noodle stuck around my wrist." Boy oh boy was Wanda angry when she saw that. Or maybe it was the gasoline, or his hand suddenly slipped, and splash. Cosmo was out instantly. "Cosmo, first one out. Come take a seat on the bench." Cosmo floated over, head hung low. The others remained silent, laser focused, until him broke it. "Oh honey," he said in a sing-song voice, looking Jerry up and down, "you're shaking already and we're not even 5 minutes in. I thought you're supposed to be a super spy. Did Velma forget to give you your morning affirmation? Or maybe without Tommy you're finally realizing you can't win." Either way, justified sadness. Jerry stayed quiet, jaw tightening. King Boo, for once, had something to add. "I think he's retired. More of a mentor role now." Him glanced over to Jerry, who was still completely still. "Silence is so expected from you. You're like a decorative lamp. Always there, never interesting." Lois snapped. "Can you not be a prick for 5 minutes?" Him raised his brows and gave a dramatic gasp. "Lois, sweetheart, if you think this is me being a prick, you clearly haven't been paying attention to how pointy I can really be," Shego muttered under her breath. "Oh, we've been paying attention." Him turned to her with a cutting smile. "And yet, still no personality detected." Splash. In his flourish of sass, him's hand dipped just enough to trigger the bucket. The water dumped, drenching him. He shrieked. Ugh! This humidity is ruining my aura. Jeff smirked. Him is out. Him stepped off the platform, dripping wet and dramatically flipping his soaking hair. Enjoy your silence. Better to be sitting in the shade anyway. The others refocused. Time passed. Jerry fell at 21 minutes, Lois at 27. Shego dropped out at 34 with a groan. Only Velma and King Boo remained. At 45 minutes, Velma's shaking hand finally gave out. Splash. She sighed as water drenched her. King Boo wins individual immunity, Jeff declared. King Boo gave a subtle nod, expression unreadable. The others descended, defeated. With Boo safe, the remaining 6 would return to camp, knowing one of them would soon become the 5th juror. Day 24 unfolded in a mix of tension and fragile calm as the final 7 settled into camp after a long day of strategic maneuvering and emotional ups and downs. The sun started to dip, and the warm, dry air carried the scent of strategy in the air as groups began to break off. Velma was feeling the full weight of responsibility for this vote. With Shego and him after each other, and Lois not wanting to get involved, someone had to pull together a majority. Without even a scrap of paper or a pen to record her shifting thoughts, she relied solely on her keen memory and sharp instincts. Lois approached her by the ocean and asked what she was thinking for tonight. Velma put her palms out to demonstrate she was weighing options. Well, on one hand we could take a shot at him, who is clearly against Shego, but he could theoretically work with you and I in the future. On the other hand, we had previously agreed to vote out Jerry next, and I'm pretty sure Jerry will never really be on our side again. What do you want to do? Lois took a moment to analyze. Yeah, I think those are the easy options. You're right about Jerry, but you really think there's a shot him would work with us? Velma nodded. Absolutely. As long as Shego was out first. I'm not suggesting we take her out, but if you and I are going to final 3, we'll need someone weaker with us in that 3rd chair. Him is an option because the jury would never vote him to win. Cosmo would be good there as well. But we probably can't take Shego unless she keeps fighting. Lois hugged Velma and agreed, realizing they hadn't had time recently to affirm their final 2 deal. Okay Velma, I'm in with whatever. Jerry or him work for me. We'll just tell them to vote each other, I guess. Just give me a signal at tribal or something. I'm gonna go chat around. Across camp, Jerry and Cosmo huddled near a cluster of wind-blown ferns. Jerry's eyes were focused, his super spy instincts kicking in as he quietly interrogated the scene. He murmured to Cosmo, I saw King Boo near the rock garden again, and he wasn't alone. Something's off. Cosmo, munching on a half-eaten mango, nodded vigorously. I don't care what secrets he has. I'm just ready for all of this fighting to stop. Jerry saw an opportunity, and took it. So, Cosmo, does that mean you'd vote for Shego tonight? Cosmo thought for half of a second. Oh yeah, sure. She fights. Jerry smiled deviously. Excellent. King Boo trailed into camp, and Jerry explained his plan to him. Boo agreed, as he does to all plans and alliances. Once he had all of the information, he'd make his decision. Meanwhile Shego pulled Lois and Velma into the jungle to demand the vote be on him tonight. Velma and Lois agreed they would be willing to, but urged Shego to consider Jerry as an option. Shego adamantly blocked the suggestion. No way. Jerry is harmless. And it's not like he's coming after me or you two. Meanwhile him approached Jerry on the shoreline under a palm. So, I know we aren't allied or anything, but a temporary partnership may benefit us both. Jerry looked unamused. Him cut off the awkward silence. Okay look, I'm a free number. Just tell me who to vote and let's actually make a move. Jerry raised an eyebrow. Of course he intended to bring him in on the plan, but hearing him ask to be included proved to Jerry he may have more sway than he thought. Okay, him. Vote Shego. She's your rival. She's good in challenges. She could maybe win a jury vote. Okay. Him slowly nodded, thought for a moment, and responded, thank you kind sir. Let me know if anything changes. Smooches, darling. Over at the tree line, King Boo floated into the jungle and ran into Shego. Seeing an opportunity to get more information, he offered sympathy for her fight with him, emphasizing that clearly King Boo was on Shego's side. He lied well so effortlessly, and Shego ate it up. She opened up immediately. Okay, listen. I know you were pulled into the sister thing with me, and him, and the girls. That's over. Done. Burned to the ground. But I'm still good with you if you're good with me. King Boo smiled his best smile. Of course Shego. You're my number one. What's our plan for tonight? Shego smiled genuinely. Although her number one was Lois, it was nice to hear she was still tight with Boo. Well, I'm voting him. I said it publicly. I will vote for him every round until he's gone. So if you want my vote freed up to go elsewhere, we need to take out him. King Boo nodded and agreed excitedly. Yeah, let's make it happen. As the late afternoon sun turned into early evening, the camp's atmosphere was a blend of scheming and quiet camaraderie. King Boo, hoping to gain more information, ran across him, who was clearly in a panic. "Oh hi Boo, quick favor. Loving your crown, by the way. Very chic, very sleek. Does you a lot of favors. Could you possibly not vote for me tonight?" Boo nodded. "Of course, him, you're my number one. I'll vote for whoever you want." Him nervously smiled. "Okay, we're voting Shego. I don't know if I can tell you who else, but yes, Shego." As the sun was setting, final meetings were held, each bringing more nerves than the last. Him approached Lois by the shelter as she was collecting her clothing. He forced himself to calm down and take some deep breaths before speaking. "Excuse me, Lois. Before we go to vote, I just wanted to apologize for my behavior during the challenge. It's not you I'm mad at. I'm sorry. You're still a sister to me, alliance or not." Lois couldn't tell if he was genuine or if this was strategy. Best to just play along. Him. "It's okay. I was rude to you too. We all get a little caught up in our emotions out here. It happens." Him smiled and went in for a hug, which Lois awkwardly accepted. "So Lois, assuming the answer isn't me, could I have a bit of direction on where to vote tonight? I still consider you and Velma to be allies of mine." Lois thought back to her earlier conversation. "Jerry. We're voting Jerry. Me, you, Velma, Boo, maybe even Shego if she calms down." Him thanked her for the info, and sat down to think. He had a decision to make. He could vote with Jerry's side and take out his rival Shego, or he could vote with Lois's side to prove loyalty, which would pay off for him in the long game. As the tribe grabbed their torches and started the walk to tribal, many players had potentially game-changing decisions to make. King Boo was given 3 names to choose between. Lois and Velma had to decide which target would be the best for their games. Him had to decide between long-term loyalty or petty revenge, and Cosmo had to pick which of his flower bracelets to wear. As the humidity in the air increased, so did the tension as the players set off for tribal council. Night had fallen over the island as the final 7 filed into tribal council. The atmosphere was heavy with apprehension, every player aware that tonight's vote would add a new juror to an already influential panel. Muriel, Tigger, Chica, and Tommy, who sat silently as observers. Jeff Probst stood in front of the assembled group. Shego, him, Lois, Velma, Jerry, Cosmo, and King Boo, with his usual measured intensity. "Welcome to Tribal Council," Jeff began. "Tonight, one of you will be sent home to join the jury as the 5th juror. Who wants to start us off tonight?" The group silently looked around, each wondering who would be the first to open up about today's can of worms. King Boo unexpectedly stepped forward. With his eyes glimmering in the torchlight, he cleared his throat and said in his characteristically calm, measured tone, "Before we proceed, I feel it's only fair that you all know, I possess another hidden immunity idol." A collective gasp swept through the circle. Even Velma's usually unflappable gaze narrowed, and Cosmo's eyes grew wide in exaggerated astonishment. King Boo's quiet revelation sent ripples through the tribe, forcing them to recalculate their strategies in that very moment. Cosmo clapped, excited for the ghost's secret tool. Him leaned over to Lois and whispered, "I assume that doesn't change anything? We still vote Jerry, right?" Shego noticed the whispering and nudged Velma, asking what Lois and him were talking about. Velma assured Shego that everything was fine, and him was just being paranoid. Him looked up and noticed Shego watching him. Not long after, a spark ignited. In a low, cutting voice, him snapped, "Really, Shego? If you want a better look, take a picture. You act like you're the queen of strategy, but you never consult your alliance. And now a single whisper has you panicked." His tone was sharp and mocking, dripping with diva-esque venom. Shego's eyes flashed as she retorted, "Oh, him, if you actually contributed something meaningful, maybe I wouldn't have to work so hard." Jerry rolled his eyes. "Here we go again," Jeff interrupted. "Sound like this is an ongoing argument. Jerry, fill me in." Jerry sat up straighter, and turned to face Jeff. "Well Jeff, it's no secret I'm outnumbered here, but being on the bottom has its ups. It makes me a free number. And being a free number means people tend to approach you. Him approached me with a plan to turn on his alliance, and I exposed it. Now everything is a mess, and Shego and him have decided they hate each other." Jeff nodded, taking in the info. "So Cosmo, who's to blame here? Shego, him, or Jerry, for exposing it?" Cosmo blinked slowly, processing the question. It's nobody's fault and everybody's fault. If we weren't on an island, the fight wouldn't be happening probably. But since it is, it's really loud, and I don't like it. Down with the fighting," King Boo chuckled. Shego scoffed. Jeff continued, "So Velma, with all of this going on around you, the fighting, and idol reveal, where does that leave you?" Velma adjusted her glasses and answered precisely, "It leaves me with a lot to consider. I think I've shown in this game that I stick by people who stick by me. and I'll continue to do that. Pretty simple in concept, but judgment calls can be hard. Lois agreed. I think Velma and I are in similar spots. We both just want to continue on in the game without the melodramatics, but also keeping in mind who has our backs. All of the players nodded quietly in their seats. Jeff paused to see if any players had any final comments. All right. It's time to vote. Each player voted one by one, King Boo flaunting his immunity necklace in the voting booth. Jeff returned with the urn, and tribal council proceedings continued on. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol to play, now is the time to do so. King Boo's confident reveal had already cast a long shadow over the council, and now, with no one else stepping forward, the weight of that secret power became palpable. Velma's eyes were steely with calculation as she glanced around the circle, while Jerry shifted uncomfortably, and Lois's expression tightened with resolve. No one stepped forward. All right, I'll read the votes. First vote, him. Ha, typical, he muttered under his breath. Second vote, Jerry. That's one vote him, one vote Jerry. Jerry shifted uneasily in his seat. Third vote, Shego. Shego raised an eyebrow and slowly turned her head to glare at him. That's one for him, one for Shego, and one for Jerry. Next vote, him. That's two for him, one for Jerry, one for Shego. Lois and Velma held hands, praying they had made the correct decision. Next vote, Shego. That's two for him, two for Shego, and one for Jerry. Shego couldn't hold back. Give me a break. Next vote, him. That's three votes him, two votes Shego, one vote Jerry, one vote left. Shego inhaled sharply. Jerry rubbed his temple. Him gritted his teeth and narrowed his eyes at Shego as Jeff reached into the urn. The 12th person voted out of Cartoon Survivor Season 1, and the 5th member of our jury, him. Him fell to his knees dramatically, screaming a long no. Velma and Lois comforted Shego as him approached Jeff at the podium. Him, the tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go. Before leaving, him turned to the tribe and looked directly at Shego. Wow, ladies, I tried working with you and this is how I'm repaid? A shame. No hard feelings, sisters. Except you, Shego. I will make it my life's mission to destroy your chances at winning. Everyone else, listen up. If you want to improve your chances in the final three, take Shego to the end. I'll be personally ensuring the jury won't allow such a nasty person with such awful gameplay to win. Smooches. He skipped down the path, singing about all the food he was about to enjoy, and the shower waiting for him. The rest of the tribe sat in a state somewhere between confusion, entertainment, and anger. Well, Jeff said, turning back to the tribe, I think that speaks for itself. Welcome to the end game. Head on out. We'll see you all tomorrow. The fire crackled quietly as the final six returned to camp under a blanket of stars. The aftermath of him's dramatic exit at tribal council, complete with sharp words, a diva-worthy eye roll, and King Boo's revelation of his second idol, hung heavy in the air. Nobody was speaking at first, the silence only broken by the occasional sound of waves crashing nearby and the distant croak of frogs. Velma was the first to speak, in her usual calculating tone. Well, that was something. She offered a stiff nod to King Boo, trying to act unfazed by his idol reveal. King Boo, voting with Shego, Lois, and Velma, had signaled to the three of them that their former alliance was still intact, for now at least. An intentional move to keep Lois, Shego, and Velma on his good side. King Boo, smug and composed, gave a theatrical bow as he tended to the fire. Just thought it was time to remind people who they're dealing with. I've been quiet around camp, so what better way to make a statement, right? He was riding high off his immunity win and the buzz from finally showing part of his arsenal. The idol stayed tucked away, but the psychological impact was fully unleashed. Shego, amused but quietly annoyed, whispered to Velma and Lois by the shelter. Next time, maybe give me a heads up before the vote. I had no idea I was catching votes. I'm assuming it was Cosmo and Jerry? And what the heck was that monologue about the jury and taking me to the end? Weirdo behavior. Her voice was sharp. She was still on edge even with him gone. Lois explained to Shego that she had no idea Shego was getting votes. They had collectively forgotten to loop Cosmo in on any major plans, and Jerry was clearly not someone who could be controlled considering they told Jerry to vote for him multiple times throughout the afternoon. Velma nodded, backing Lois' story. Well, the good news is that he's gone. Even better, Boo showed he's still with us, and Jerry keeps digging his hole deeper. Meanwhile, Jerry, ever observant, sat just outside the firelight, watching everyone's reactions like a spy gathering intel. He didn't trust Velma or Lois at all, too slippery. They'd told him where to vote today, and kept their word. Perhaps he should have stuck with them, but the opportunity to take a swing at a challenge beast like Shego was too tempting. Lois and Velma's close bond with Shego was becoming increasingly concerning. He'd voted with Cosmo tonight, which showed promise, but Cosmo was an ever-changing dartboard who seemingly randomized his votes each round. Jerry's mind was already on the next move and how to best use his assets. Just before bed, the tribe discussed how relieved they all were to survive another round, and began tending to camp chores. Lois chimed in while the tribe was sorting the pots. Busy hands helped to settle a restless mind. And Lord knows our minds are restless. She was trying to stay low profile, knowing that tonight's fireworks meant tomorrow's scramble would be fierce. Cosmo, blissfully unaware of half the strategic implications, plopped beside Boo and asked, "So do we name your idol?" Maybe something spooky like Clarence. Boo laughed, and the tension softened just a notch. The peace was fragile. Everyone knew the final stretch was here, and with 6 left, every bond could be broken. They slept lightly that night, each wrapped in their own thoughts, mistrust, and the ever-lingering shadow of the fire.